So God came from somewhere. He came from our +1. Okay, came here to create. First thing he created was a singularity of light called Pluto. Okay? Lord of the underworld, Pluton. Solids. And Pluto's light broadcasted in one direction, in the X direction. On day 2, God created another singularity light called Neptune. Okay? Liquids. God of the water. And that broadcasted its light in a one-dimensional line in the Z direction. On day 3, God created a third singularity of light called Uranus, Lord of the air. Okay? The gases. And it broadcasted its light in a third direction in the Y-axis. The color coding may be off, but the X direction would be in this direction. The Z direction will be in this direction. The Y direction will be going in and out of the page. This is your 0th dimensional singularity. This is your 0th dimensional singularity depicted a different way. This is a one-dimensional line. This is a one-dimensional line depicted a different way. Okay? This is the number 5. This is a V, which is a fly speck, which is a 5 in a different way. Because this is a Sudoku puzzle, on the first day when God created Pluto, and the light traveled on the X direction, you have to solve. So this is going to be a 1, the highest dimension between a 1 and a 0. On day 2, when God created Neptune, that would have made a 2-dimensional plane with the pre-existing 1. So between a 1 and a 0, this also would be a 1. If these are both 1s and this 2-dimensional plane was created, then that means this 2-dimensional plane was created. And that means that a 1 and a 1 makes it 2. And finally, for the Y direction, a 1 and a 0 makes a 1. On the third day, when God created Uranus, that light, that singularity which outreached in the Y direction in a one-dimensional line, hey, look at that. 3 makes 4. Because 3 makes 4. Now to finish off the Y direction, because we're working on finishing off the third dimensional Y of the 3-dimensional plane, we have to have duality in the dimension before it, the 2-dimensional plane. Therefore, a 2 is equal to a 1. Jumping one dimension from Y to X, 3 and 1 is 4. Jumping one dimension from Y to Z, 3 and 2 is 5. Jumping 2 dimensions from Y to X in a different point of view, guys, would make a 1-3, not a 4. And because the X and Z are 1 dimension apart, a 1 and a 1 is a 2. When the Titans were created, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, 3 made 4. 3 made 4. Made 5. Three made 4. Made 5. Remember, we're always saying made, because we're creating these. We didn't create the 69. That's our n+1. There's a 23.4 degree separation between a 1 and a 0. And there's a 45 degree separation between our 2-dimensional plane of XZ. And the 2-dimensional XZ plane that you can see in front of you, the closest number in the diagonal Y plane would be the 1 here. The closest one out of 1 of 3 2-dimensional planes. Look what we've created. A 10 and a 10 to create the 11. By creating the 11, we've created a 3 because of the one-dimensional line from the light from Pluto. because we've created a 3, we can put a line around it, which would be 4. Because we have a 3, and this is balance in the first column, we need a 2 here to offset the 0. Now look in the y direction of this 3. A 1 and a 2 is a 3, and a 1 and a 2 is a 3 for the y direction. There's our 12, 13, 14, I guess 15. This is our 0th dimension, this is our 1st dimension. They're in the same plane. This is our 2nd dimension. This is our 3rd dimension. This is our 4th dimension. In the XZ plane, this is closest to heaven, and in the XY plane, this is closest to heaven. In the ZY plane, it gets a little different because you have 3 ones. When you're thinking in terms of zeros, ones, and v's, 0, 1s, and 5s, you should be thinking in terms of n, n plus 1, and n plus 2. We really haven't solved for this 5 or this 5, okay? This represents plants. I'm getting there, guys, okay? Because we know about the 0, the 1, and the v, we have to do the math of n, n plus 1, and n plus 2 to solve for these variables. From another point of view, this could be your 0th dimension, your 1st dimension, your 2nd dimension, your 3rd dimension, your 4th dimension, your 5th dimension, your 6th dimension, your 7th dimension, and your 8th dimension, the infinite. From a different point of view, this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dimensions, or n plus 1. Let's start with solving for the 2nd dimension, okay? The easiest one, the xz. The xz. Balance in the xz plane is the square here, which is closest to heaven, meaning that it will be added to the last digit to solve for the next digit. Meaning that it will be added to the last digit to solve for the next digit. In 3rd dimensional space, this cell would be balance, which also represents the 1, because if we're depicting the xz plane, which is one of 3 planes, then the other 2 have to work in duality of each other, as a master number 11. For this variable, we're going to solve it by adding what was created before it and what was needed to get there, the thing before it, or the cell before it, to align and get closer to balance to get back to heaven. This means that this is 3 because to return to balance in this column, the 1 and 2, or the thing before it, will have to get back to balance to go here. For this cell, it's the same thing. To get back to balance, to get back to heaven, the 5 and 2 are going to have to come together. Now we've just solved for the 3 dimensions of my 2-dimensional paper, okay, which are x, y, and z, okay, for the first 1, 2, 3 rows. We're going to work on this guy. In order to complete the V, okay, we got to look at what else we've created, okay? So, look, there's a bigger V right here. Six plus 9 is 15. 16, 17, 18, 19. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 25, 26, 27, 28. Or how about this? To make the V this way, 13 and 7, okay, is 20. 9, 29, that's 28 in the circle, guys. So now we've created a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4. 20, guys. Lowercase t. So because our balance has double digits, and that's the first time we've seen this, And because we want to solve for the most simplest dimension here, okay, 3, and that's a 13. That means there's a difference of 10, okay? And I find it very coincidental that it matches the pattern of a dot, a line, a V, and an X. We have now completed another 20. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 20, and 20 is 40. As you can see, our XZ depiction on this two-dimensional plane is almost completed in X, because it's a 5 by 5. So we need to figure out how to solve for this guy. And I do know that 2 V's make an X. In order to complete the X, we have a 20 here, we have a 20 here for 40, we have a 33 because it's the third dimension, and we're talking about 3D, a 0, 3, we're 13th dimensional beings, and we know that a 1 is equal to a 3. So this is a depiction of balance. From here would be need of 33. So 40 plus 33 would be 73, plus your X, Y, Z directions, okay, would be 76. What's also interesting is if we complete the fly spec here, 28 plus 7 is 35. Okay, 35, 45, 55, 57. 57 total, but we need the rest of the cells in this axis. Okay? We need its 20. Okay? So 57 plus 20 is 77. 77 is depiction of a circled 76. So on the third day of creation, all that was needed to be done to complete the third dimensional reality, because 3 makes 4 makes 5. Guys, all of that just for plants, so that life could be created in Earth.